Hey guys, welcome back to the Rideshare Hub. It's Isabella, and today I wanted to share with you guys 20 tips on how you can start earning more being a Postmates driver. So before we get started, real quick, I wanted to let you guys know that we have a link in the description if you want to sign up to be a Lyft driver, and using this link you can actually get a sign-up bonus of up to $1,000 guaranteed. So if you did want to be a Lyft driver, be sure to check out that link in the description. Also, if the unfortunate event happens that your gig app account got deactivated, whether it's Postmates, DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, Uber Eats, and you need to get your account restored, there's actually a website that is able to do that for you. It's called the Reactivation Center. It's linked in the description of this video, and you can basically get any of your accounts reactivated so you can start making money again. Anyways, without further ado, let's get started on these 20 tips to start earning more with Postmates. Tip number 1 is something that maybe you haven't really thought about too much, but it actually is really important, and it's to look more presentable. So if you're gonna be handing deliveries to the people and not just like dropping it off in front of their door, it is important to look relatively professional. You don't have to be super dressed up, but if you're looking nice, looking cleaned up, you don't look like you just rolled out of bed, you have a higher chance of getting a higher tip. Because if you really think about it, like if you have one delivery driver who is just, they never have a smile on their face, they're not very friendly, they don't look very friendly, they're just like, I don't know, just like not looking very professional. And you have someone else who looks more put together, is very friendly, has a smile on their face, looks really happy when they're doing the deliveries. Who do you think is going to get more tips? You know what I mean? So it's something small that you can control that might actually make a difference when you're delivering with Postmates. So my second tip is to try to do more short deliveries rather than long ones. There really is no reason for you to be doing like super long deliveries. I just don't think it would be worth it for you, and you'd probably end up getting more money if you do more short deliveries within like an hour. So per hour you'd make more money. Then you're just not wasting a ton of gas, going super far out of the way and then going back to where all the restaurants are. It's just better to do more short deliveries. Tip number 3, this is so important, but you want to drive at the right times. Try to make it fit into your schedule to drive at least during some of these prime times, because this is when people are going to be ordering the most, and it's usually around lunchtime during weekdays, so like 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then dinner time and late at night, so like 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then obviously on weekends, people are usually ordering a lot. So if you have free time to do delivery driving during any of those times, it's definitely something you should try to do as much as possible. This is tip number 4. So this should also kind of be a given, but maybe while you're on the job, it's not something you think about, but you want to make sure you have really good communication and customer service with the person you're delivering to. It's always nice to shoot a friendly message, letting them know you picked up their order, letting them know when you're on your way, or letting them know like if there's a delay for whatever reason, so they're not just left wondering why it's taking so long. That way, if you kind of build communication between you and the person you're delivering to, you have a higher chance of getting a bigger tip. Because then also, they kind of have like a personality to put onto the person delivering their food. Because if you literally say nothing to them the entire time, it might as well be like one of those delivery robots that just deliver to them. So it will definitely help you possibly get a higher tip. This is my next tip. Also, another thing that should be super standard, but like maybe it's something you just didn't think about because of how simple it is, but it's to always double check your order. If you're having a super busy and stressful day, you might not even think to double check the order, but this is super important because you don't want to deal with the whole like mishap of getting an order wrong, because you could get reported for that, or just checking that there's no missing items. And if there's a missing item, you can let the restaurant know and they can add that in real quick, because it's just not good to get complaints about that, because you can actually risk getting your account banned for that. Another tip I have is to use your referral code. This might not make you a ton of extra money, but it doesn't hurt to try giving your referral codes to people, whether it's like friends, or maybe you have another job with coworkers who want to do an extra side hustle, or family who want to start doing Postmates as well, you can use your referral code so you can make a little bit of extra money. Tip number 7 is to try delivering by bike if you're able to. If you're going to be doing deliveries downtown or in a pretty condensed area where there's a lot of people and a lot of restaurants, it might be faster for you to just bike instead of using your car, because that way you're getting a little bit more exercise, you're not worrying about gas prices, and if there's a lot of traffic, which usually there is, like in any downtown there's going to be traffic, you don't even have to sit and wait in the traffic because you'll be on your bike, so it's just a lot faster. And if you're doing a lot of short deliveries, as I said earlier, it would just be better and it would make more sense to use a bike rather than sitting in traffic in your car using gas. You should definitely give biking a try if you haven't done that already. Now, if you don't want to bike around, it's always important to make sure that your car is very reliable and it's in good shape. It would be super unfortunate if your car broke down while you were doing deliveries, because then, you know, obviously that'd be a huge delay. You'd be really stressed out about your car. So you want to make sure your car is in great shape. You get all your oil changes at the right times. You know, you always have gas filled up while you're doing the deliveries, and you do your regular like service checks to make sure that everything is good with your car. My next tip sounds a little bit weird, but it actually has the potential to help you earn more money, and it's to work when there's bad weather. I'm not saying to work in like a huge storm or like a tornado or a hurricane, but if it's raining or maybe it's snowing a little outside, like there's going to be way more people ordering food because they are going to be less inclined to go out. So they're probably going to order in, and you might get a bigger tip because the person might think like, oh, this person is really delivering food and working when it's like the weather's so bad outside. So they might also just want to give you a little extra for doing that. Tip number 10 is to make sure you store your food properly. There is nothing worse than ordering food and it's super cold by the time you get it, and then you think to yourself like, wow, I shouldn't have even ordered the food in the first place. So if you get an insulated bag for hot food to be able to deliver to the customers, they will be way more satisfied that their food isn't like freezing cold by the time they get it. Or if you're delivering like cold drinks or frozen yogurt, things like that, it's always good to have a cooler to keep all of those things cold for, you know, the exact same reason, so that the customer is satisfied and their food is still in good condition by the time they get it. Because sometimes if you're driving around a lot or you do a stacked order, it might take a while for you to get the food to the person that you're delivering to. So if it's stored properly, you don't really have to worry about that as much. Tip number 11 is to track your miles. This is so important for when you're going to be filing taxes. This is how you can do tax returns. There's lots of apps you can use to track your mileage. There's apps like Everlance, MileIQ, TripLogger, and they literally do everything for you, so it's super easy. It'll just automatically track your miles. My next tip is to learn what deliveries are worth it for you. So you want to kind of keep in mind the distance of the delivery, how much the total bill is. You just want to make sure that, you know, you're getting the biggest bang for your buck. If you're going to be doing a delivery that's like a 20-minute drive away and it's only like $10, you gotta think like, is that really worth it for you to do? Make sure you're not accepting orders that are like ridiculously cheap, like under $7. And of course you want to consider the traffic, you want to consider the distance. There's just a lot to keep into consideration so that you can figure out whether it's an order that you really want to do or if it's just going to be like kind of a waste of time. My next tip is to wait around where there's a bunch of restaurants. That way you're not like waiting too long for an order to show up, and it'll take you less time to get to the restaurant if you're already in an area with a lot of restaurants around. So always be sure to make sure there's lots of restaurants around where you're waiting for your next order. Another tip I have for you guys is to join other delivery driver communities. What's great about this is that you can connect with other people that are doing the same thing as you, and you can learn from each other, give each other like advice on how you can be a better delivery driver, a better Postmates driver. And you know, if you ever need to like vent to other people that can relate to you, those are great places to do them. There's like Facebook groups you can join. It's nice to just be able to create these bonds with people that are doing the exact same thing that you're doing. So another tip that I have for you is to use WRAPIFY. If you don't know what WRAPIFY is, they basically wrap your car with an advertisement and you get paid per mile. Some people actually make up to an extra like $500 per month literally just driving around, because if you're already going to be doing deliveries all the time, you're going to be putting a lot of miles on your car. You might as well be making a little bit of extra money while you're doing that. So you basically make your car into a moving billboard and they pay you for that. So it's definitely worth checking out if you want to make some passive income while you're doing delivery driving, if you don't mind how your car looks on the outside. So tip number 16 is that you want to accept stacked orders when it makes sense for you. This is also pretty like straightforward, but if you have a stacked order that is like a complete detour, it really makes no sense to do that, because the last person that gets their food is going to be waiting a really long time and they're probably going to be upset by the time they get their food. So if you have stacked orders that are literally like on the way to each other, that's when you should do it. But if it's literally completely out of the way, like there's really just no point in doing that. And you risk getting a lower tip from the last person who's going to be getting their order delivered to them, because their food probably won't taste as good. They're gonna complain about the long wait. This is a really good thing to keep in mind. My next tip is to have a good profile picture. That's kind of what I was talking about before about looking presentable, but if you have a good profile picture, you know, they might think you're a little bit more friendly if you have a smile on your face in your photo and you have like a good quality picture, because subconsciously they're just gonna think you're a friendly person if you look friendly in your profile picture, because that's all they really are gonna know from you. They're gonna see your name and your profile picture and like whatever messages you send them, so it kind of just adds a little bit more personality to you, like I was saying before, and they might be more inclined to leave you a nicer tip. My next tip for you guys is to do challenges. Sometimes Postmates has like little challenges for delivery drivers, like if you complete a certain number of deliveries within this certain amount of time, you get an extra bonus. So it's a good way to make money, and it's just how Postmates is like giving back to their delivery drivers. So be sure to check those out if you see them pop up on your app. It's kind of just like a little game that you can play to make more money while you're doing deliveries. This is tip number 19. This might sound a little bit weird, but it's to avoid delivering to students. Now, the reason it's good to avoid delivering to students is because students tend to not tip. It is very common for students to not tip very well because they probably don't have that much money. It's not that, you know, you did a bad job or anything. Like, you could be the best delivery driver in the world, but if the student just really doesn't have the money to tip, or like they just don't want to because it's extra money, it's better to just avoid them. And I know it's hard to know if you're going to be delivering to a student or not, but try to stay away from like university campuses, student housing, Greek life housing, like frat houses and sorority houses, because you're more likely to get a student as your customer that you're going to be delivering to if you're around those areas. Now, this is my last tip. This is kind of a way to like hack the system a bit and really make the most out of your time while you're delivery driving, but it's to double up on apps. So if you're delivering with Postmates, maybe have another app open at the same time, like DoorDash or Grubhub. And what you can do is you can be active on 2 apps at the same time, wait and see where you get an order first or where you get a better order. And then while you're doing that order, you can turn off the other app and turn it back on as you're finishing the order that you're currently on. So that way, as you're finishing up, let's say like you're finishing up on Postmates, DoorDash is already looking for an order for you. So then there's really no downtime where you're just sitting and waiting for the next order, and you can have like back-to-back orders where you're just constantly making money. There's not a ton of downtime where you're just waiting around. Anyways, you guys, I hope those tips were helpful to you. Once again, if you want to sign up to be a Lyft driver, you can get a sign-up bonus of up to $1,000 from the link in the description of this video. So be sure to check that out. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.